It's really no secret, The Last of Us is indisputably one of the best games ever created. Now, some games are great because of their gameplay and graphics, and some games are great because of their fantastic storylines and memorable characters, and in a rare few examples, all of the aforementioned is present. The Last of Us definitely falls into this latter category, but even then, there's something about the game that sets it apart from other titles. In truth, what really makes The Last of Us unique is that it speaks volumes about the human condition. As a species, our behaviors and relationships are never simple, so we're often surprised or disappointed when things don't go our way or people don't respond or react in the way we expect. We tend to experience the most growth in the face of adversity and hardship, and in many regards, without suffering, life would be utterly meaningless. It is in this respect that The Last of Us really shines. Its narrative is both a beautiful and grotesque illustration of the irresolvable complexities of existence. There's practically no other game that more deeply explores themes such as love, wrath, death, depression, revenge, forgiveness. In fact, there's almost no part of the human experience that The Last of Us fails to touch on. Before I continue, if you intend to play The Last of Us Parts 1 and 2, then just be aware that there are some spoilers ahead. So The Last of Us Part 2 ended amicably enough, but the fact of the matter is that Ellie's story isn't over yet. Obviously, not every story has to have a perfect happy ending, but that's not what I'm asking for. If anything, watching Ellie find a new sense of purpose and meaning after all the horrors she's endured would be enough. To this end, I would argue that the world actually needs The Last of Us Part 3. The last few years have been brutal for many of our fellow human beings. You may even be one of them. With the current state of the world, it's easy to see why some people might feel hopeless. So now more than ever, we need stories and characters to remind us of our strength and inspire us to carry on in spite of the odds. Ellie is a relatable character who has already overcome so much, but I have a strong feeling that she still has many challenges to face. There's no doubt that the social significance of The Last of Us is already immense, but the popularity and reach of the franchise is only getting started. First and foremost, the game has been adapted into a TV series. Starring Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey of Game of Thrones fame, the first episode of The Last of Us premiered on HBO on the 15th of January 2023, and much like its source material, the series has received universal acclaim. I've actually had several family members, friends and colleagues recommend that I watch the show, so I think it's safe to say that HBO's The Last of Us is amazing. Millions of people all over the world are now becoming familiar with the story of The Last of Us, so I have no doubt that it's already sparked renewed interest in the video games. For this reason, the remake of 2013's The Last of Us, entitled The Last of Us Part 1, is well timed. Okay, I know that the remake launched on the PS5 in September 2022, but seeing that this was just a few months before the premiere of the TV series, the timing of the launch still makes perfect sense. What I'm actually referring to here, and which is arguably more significant, is the release of The Last of Us Part 1 on PC on the 28th of March 2023. The reason this is such a big deal is because this will be the first time that The Last of Us actually makes it to PC. In other words, a huge crop of gamers, both young and old, will soon be able to experience The Last of Us for the first time. Now, I'm sure that there are many fans who don't approve of this, just as I'm sure that many fans don't approve of HBO's The Last of Us. But whether you like it or not, The Last of Us is definitely reaching all new audiences on a global scale. Now, if you think that's it, you're wrong. Naughty Dog, the award-winning developers behind The Last of Us, are currently in the process of developing a standalone multiplayer game set in The Last of Us universe. The game, entitled The Last of Us 2 Factions, was supposed to release alongside The Last of Us Part 2 back in 2020, but it was decided to delay its release in order to make something far grander in scale. Now, there aren't exactly a ton of details about Factions so far, but we do know that it's set partially or completely in San Francisco and will feature an all-new cast of characters. The game will also feature its own unique storyline and will supposedly have a Battle Royale mode. In any case, more information about the game is expected to be announced at some point in 2023, and hopefully The Last of Us 2 Factions also gets a 2023 release. However, nothing's confirmed as yet, so don't take my word for it. So, The Last of Us Part 1 is already out on PS5 and will soon be released on PC. We've got HBO's The Last of Us, which is currently being aired, and we've got The Last of Us 2 Factions, which is currently being developed and will hopefully be released sooner than later. All of this strongly suggests that The Last of Us Part 3 has to happen at some point in the future. And as I pointed out earlier, whether the world knows it yet or not, it actually needs The Last of Us Part 3 to happen. I'm not saying that just because The Last of Us is becoming more popular. It's clear that the story resonates with many different people from many different cultures across the world, and the plight of Joel and Ellie and all the other characters is something that just about everybody can relate to. In many ways, the story of The Last of Us is the story of the modern world. And as is the case with our fragile existence, the story isn't over yet. So do you agree that the world needs The Last of Us Part 3? Or do you think the story basically ended in the second game? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so I can keep bringing you hot content on the regular. That's all I've got to say for now. From me and the Meta Squad, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later!